Thank you, and welcome everybody to this month's Connect with Remedy monthly webinar series. This month we're presenting on MyIT installation, configuration, and troubleshooting, and our presenter today will be Sirjad Parakkat. He is a technical manager in end-user solutions. Before I turn it over to him, I wanted to let you know if you have any questions during this presentation, you can ask them in the Q&A pod during the presentation, and our panelists will answer these questions. At the end of the presentation, we will take any unanswered questions and ask them of Sirjad. At this time, I'll turn it over to Sirjad.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, wherever in the world you are. So we have a well-packed agenda for today, going through the MyIT installation, configuration, and troubleshooting. My name is Sirjad Parakkat. Again, I work as a technical manager with BMC with MyIT product almost from the starting. So let me move on to the agenda for today. So we are going to go over the MyIT architecture and then getting into the installation and upgrade. Where we are going to talk about, how you install the product, what are the things that you need to be aware of before you install the product, things like that. And we'll also cover the upgrade, what are the versions that we support for upgrade, and then, some of the troubleshooting tips for upgrade. Once you install or upgrade the product, the next step would be to rebrand or personalize the application. So what how we do the rebranding and what are the things that we support to do the rebranding. So once that is completed, we'll go over the deployment of application to end users. So we'll cover that. And then once the application is rolled out to all users in the enterprise, how do you monitor the application? Then I'll also share some of the references that I used to prepare this presentation, followed by Q&A. All right, so let's get started with the first topic, which is the MyIT architecture. So here in this architecture, I'm going to talk about the components that are part of MyIT and the technology that we use to build this product. So as you can see here, there are different components that we have in MyIT. The core component is the MyIT server, which is purely built on Java and J2EE technologies. So the MyIT server is the core component, which interacts with all the integrating components of MyIT. So this component, this is the core. Without this, the product does not exist. So we have the MyIT component, and then you see another core component, which is the social engine. So if you have seen MyIT or used MyIT in the past, or at least if you have seen a demo of MyIT, you might have noticed that the whole interaction in MyIT is social driven. It is more like how you use a chatter or a Facebook application. It's like you have the activity feeds, you have the microblog, you have the group. So you have all the social integration or social networking features, which is baked into the product. So to support that, we have a social engine and then a social data store, we call it as. So basically, if you want to support these kind of interactions, we need to store the data in a non-relational format, not in a traditional RDBMS format. So for that, we use MongoDB, which is one of the leading NoSQL database, which is available in the market. So that's the social data store that we have here. And then the social engine, which is built on Node.js, which is to communicate between the MyIT server and the MongoDB. You can also see here the MyIT data store, which is a RDBMS. It is used to store the MyIT native transactional data and configuration data. So when you install MyIT, it comes with a bunch of capabilities in it, which mainly we split it into two. One is the self-service aspect of MyIT, and then the second is the digital workplace aspect of MyIT. So when I say self-service aspect of MyIT, it is the integration. It is the integration between Remedy and MyIT to achieve the self-service use case. Mainly the service catalog, approvals, and the Remedy knowledge management integration. So for that, we heavily depend on Remedy. So, all the data is placed in Remedy. We just, integrate with Remedy, get the data from Remedy, and then, display it in MyIT, use it in MyIT for all the SRM, RKM, and approval related use case. That is one core use case, or the primary aspect, right? That's the self-service. The second part, which is the digital workplace, where we have capabilities like location and service health, broadcast, appointment. These features, these are native MyIT features which you build from scratch, right? Which never existed before MyIT. So those things, it gets stored in the MyIT data store and the social, where so we have, and this data store is internally split into two. One to store the transactional data, the other one is to store the configuration data. So when I say the configuration data, which is what I mean by that is when you install MyIT, it supports multi-tenancy for service provider kind of use cases. So, all the tenant configuration, provider configuration, I'll talk about what the provider is in a minute. So the tenant configuration, provider configuration, all that stuff, that gets stored into the configuration data store. And the second part, which is the transactional one, where we store all the locations, services, appointments, so on and so forth. So that's what those are the data that is stored in this data store. And then you can also see here an integration with APNS and GCM. And as you can see from the picture, this is something on the cloud, which is not, which does not come with the installer, or it is not stored anything internally. Basically, APNS is the Apple push notification service, and GCM is the Google Cloud messaging. So we have MyIT has an integration with these two third-party components to integrate. We leverage this for the notification capability. So as you know, that MyIT supports iOS and Android. So we have native application which we build on iOS and Android. So to support these two applications, and basically if there is a notification that we need to send push to these devices, right, we heavily depend on the APNS and GCM push technologies. So it's basically we send the data from the MyIT server to the Apple push notification service or the Google Cloud messaging service. And then from there it will push to the end user's devices. So that's another integration that we have. Now you can see the other components that we have here. These are all providers. So the way MyIT is architected is we have the core MyIT server, and then everything else is a provider. So it's easy to extend or integrate with any external data source using a provider-based architecture. So all you have to do is build a provider for a particular capability that you're building. So for example, if you want to integrate MyIT with service request management, Remedy, the BMC service request management application, then all we have to do is build a provider to interact with SRM. Similarly, if you want to integrate with RKM, the knowledge management module of Remedy, build a new provider for that. If you want to integrate with anything else like approvals or CMDB, anything. So Another thing to note here is when we built this architecture, right? MyIT was the first application which we launched on this particular platform. The second in this is the is Smart IT, and the third is more like an extension to MyIT, which is a service broker. So all these three products, and even the fourth one is HRCM, which to a certain extent uses the MyIT. Actually, the front end of HRCM is also MyIT. So all these different products that interact with MyIT, and the way we build is it's using this provider-based architecture. So initially we had the providers for to support the self-service capability of MyIT, and then we extended it for other use cases. So for example, all the Smart IT personas, even though Smart IT is not in scope of this webinar, since this application is running on the same platform as MyIT, just wanted to touch upon that. So the all the Smart IT personas, the way it is built is, by extending it and building a new provider for Smart IT. And similarly for HRCM and Service Broker and, Cloud Lifecycle Management, so on and so forth. So this, basically the platform and the architecture is extendable and can integrate with other third-party data sources, if you will, and by writing different providers. So we have integration with, for example, we have integration with BPPM to monitor the health of services and then automatically send notification to the MyIT server when a particular service goes up or goes down, and there is basically a status change in the service. So similarly, I mean it's extendable even to any third party monitoring solutions. So you can see a bunch of providers that we have here that we support. So as I talked about already, the knowledge management, service request, approval, service availability, which is a part of the digital workplace use case, where you have the ability to monitor the services and automatically notify the end users. Asset management, this is again part of the digital workplace use case, where you can import the location data from your CMDB into MyIT. We also have another integration which is not with Remedy. This is again as part of the digital workplace use case with the Exchange, Microsoft Exchange server, which is used to, so this integration is primarily focused on, solving the room reservation use case. So if you want to reserve a conference room, for example, using this you can reserve a conference room from MyIT. So that capability is available. So we have basically a provider to solve that use case. Then we also have the Enterprise App Store, which is sort of built into the product, which is this was an acquisition we made a couple of years ago. The company is called Partnerpedia, where they have the Enterprise App Store. So this App Store is now it is hosted on the cloud. It's not an on-prem, but any server, either on-prem or on-demand, can integrate with the Enterprise App Store, which is there on the cloud. And some of this capability is kind of transitioning at the moment into Service Broker. We also have integration with SAML service providers using the Atrium SSO or Remedy SSO. So our integration is direct with the Atrium SSO and the Remedy SSO, which in turn supports different identity providers. So whatever the Atrium SSO and the Remedy SSO supports, we support for MyIT. So that's about the high-level architecture on the backend side, and on the client side, we have the application can run on 3 different platforms. So we have the web UI, which we call it as the universal client, that can run on IE 10 and above, Chrome and Firefox. So for the web UI, the technology that we use is mainly the HTML5, AngularJS, Bootstrap. Then we have the native application for iOS, where we support the application can run on iOS 8 plus. Um, and the technology that we use to build this native application on iOS is Objective-C using the native Xcode development libraries. And on Android, we also have a similar native app on Android where we support Android 4.2 and above. And again, on Android, the technology that we use is mainly Java. So native Android using Java. So that's about the high-level architecture. Let me move on to the next slide. Um, so to install MyIT, or before you install MyIT, there are certain things that you need to be aware of, like some of the dependencies for MyIT. For example, we need JRE 1.8. That's one requirement. And the other one is Tomcat. We use Tomcat 8. But at the same time, we also bundle Tomcat into in our installer. So you can use the bundle Tomcat, or you can use your own Tomcat if you already have Tomcat deployed in your environment. Then the other component is the it's again a third-party component, which is the Mongo database. So if you already have MongoDB installed in your enterprise, you can use that. Or we do bundle Mongo along with our installer, so you can use the bundle Mongo. And the version we support is with the latest 3.2 of MyIT. It can support 3.x version of 3.0 and above version of MongoDB. In fact, it supports the 2.6 Mongo as well, but we recommend using the latest. So these are some of the requirements that you need to keep in mind before you install MyIT. And then the ports that we use. So if you have a controlled environment where every port is blocked or restricted, and if you want to open certain ports for the internal and external communication, these are some of the ports that you need to be aware of. So for the MyIT server, the default port that we use is 9000. You can change it; it is configurable. But from the installer perspective, when you use the bundle Tomcat, this is the default port that you use. And if you are using HTTPS, basically if it is SSL enabled, then the default port is 443. It's again configurable. You can change it. For the Node.js, which is the social server, the default port is 9001. This is mainly for the internal communication between the MyIT server and the social. So the social and Tomcat both, are on the same server. So when you install MyIT on a server, right, and if you're using the bundle Tomcat, it is going to deploy the bundle Tomcat and the Node.js. So both are sitting on the same server, and this is for the internal communication between these two servers. It's not exposed outside the Node.js port. The next one is for the Google Cloud Messaging integration for notifications. So if you are using this particular capability, you need to make sure that 5228, 5229, and 5230, these three ports are enabled outbound from the MyIT server to the internet, where it can send this notification messages to Google Cloud. And similarly for the APNS, the Apple Push Notification Service, the port that need to be enabled is 2195 and 2196, and they give an IP range, so you'll have to enable it for that class 17.0.0.0. This is again outbound from the MyIT server. And since MyIT has a tight integration with AR for the self-service capability, you need to make sure that AR server can talk to MyIT server So you need to enable the 9000 port from the AR to MyIT, whatever the port that you use for the MyIT server. If you use the default port 9000, then you need to make sure that is enabled. This is again for the internal communication between these two servers, the AR server and the MyIT server. Then for Mongo, by default, the Mongo port that it is listening to is 27017. If you have your own Mongo installed, then whatever port that you use, yes, this is also configurable. And for the database, so we support Oracle or SQL Server for the RDBMS to store the MyIT data, the MyIT transactional and the configuration data, and whatever port that you use, the default ports are 1521, 15230 for Oracle, and for SQL Server it is 1433, 1434. So that's about the port requirement that you need to keep in mind before you install MyIT. Now let's start with the installation of MyIT. Now you know the architecture and some of the requirements to install the product. Let's start with the installation. So the screen that I have here is, you can see it shows MyIT 3.3, which is not available in the market yet. It's in beta at the moment. But there is no real difference between the latest version which is out there in the market, that is 3.2 and 3.3 with respect to the installation. So the installation is split into two parts. One is the user experience patch installer, and then the second is the MyIT installer. So the user experience patch installer is the one which you need to install on the AR server. And what it basically does is it installs all the integration workflows onto the AR server so that it can work seamlessly with MyIT when you install the MyIT on the MyIT server. So you will download these two installers, UX Patch and the MyIT installer, from the EPD, and the UX Patch installer should go to the ITSM server, and MyIT installer should go to the MyIT server. So we'll start with the UX Patch installer. If you have, if you have seen other BMC installer like the Remedy or ITSM app installer, this is the screens are similar. So the first screen is a welcome screen where it will tell you the product is going to install. The installer is going to install SmartIT, MyIT. Since both are packaged together, it's going to install both. You have an option from a UX installer perspective to, if you're only deploying MyIT, you have an option to deploy only MyIT related workflows, which is mainly the SRM, RKM approval related stuff, and not the SmartIT ones. So let's continue here, going to the next slide, where it will ask you to agree to the user, the BMC license agreement. Once you agree to it, it will take you to the next screen, where you will have to specify the location where you want to deploy the footprints. So this installer is doing primarily three things. It is going to deploy a plugin. We call it as a social event manager plugin, which is used by MyIT and SmartIT to push data from AR server to the MyIT server. So it's going to deploy the social event manager plugin, and then it's going to configure the social event manager plugin. And the third thing it's going to do is deploy the workflows on the AR server. So it is asking you to specify the directory where you want to install. The next step, this is the most important one. If you are installing only MyIT, or if you are using this only for MyIT integration, then you have to make sure that you select this option, import only MyIT definition files. This will make sure that you're importing only the MyIT definition file. If you have no plans to install SmartIT or use SmartIT, you don't have to install the related workflows onto the AR server at the moment. You can do that whenever you are ready for SmartIT. So make sure that you enable or select this option if you are only using the product, only installing the MyIT part, not the Smart IT. Moving on, the next step, it is going to ask you to enter the credentials to connect to the AR server. So the username, password, the port that AR server is running on, and the AR server name. So you'll specify this information to connect. And the next one is another, so once you connect from here, let me go back here to specify one more point here. So once you connect, if this is the first time you're installing, it is going to do the three things that I said, which is deploying the social event manager plugin, configuring it, and then importing the workflows. So this will be you'll be connecting from your admin server, right? And then import this. Now once you, the same UX patch needs to be installed on all the servers in the server group. So if you launch the same installer on a different server in the server group, on the second and third and the next servers, it will deploy only the social plugin and configure it on those. It will not try to import the workflows to the AR database. So that is a one-time activity. The importing workflows onto the AR server, that will happen only from the first server. All the subsequent ones, it will only deploy the social plugin and then configure it. The next screen, which is actually an optional one, remove leading zeros from IDs of new tickets. So if you're using incident or service request, you might have noticed that the IDs that we have is something like REQ followed by a few zeros, and then the ID. And similarly, for incident, it is INC, and then followed by a few zeros, and then the ID. So if you want to truncate those leading zeros, this will allow you to do that. So this is again an optional feature. You can turn it on or turn it off. If you don't want it, if you want to keep it the way it is, you can turn this feature off. So the next screen, which is, so that's pretty much about the UX patch installer. It will give you the preview of the installation before it is going to start the install. It will tell you that what it is going to deploy, and then start the installation. Once you start the installation, it goes for it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete the installation on the first server. And then once it is completed, it will give you the screen with the summary of what it is installed, and you have the ability to look at the log. This is similar to how you install other ITSM applications. So you launch the log and then you review it, look for any warnings or errors. If there is nothing, then you're good to go. The installation is successful. So once you complete the UX patch installation on the AR server, the next step, which is to start the MyIT installation on the MyIT server. Now you will launch the installer on the MyIT server, and then again the screens are similar. The first one is the welcome screen, which will tell you what are the products which are bundled with this installer. It has Smart IT and MyIT. Both are bundled together, so it is giving you those information in the welcome screen. The next one is so the next screen where you will have to specify the application footprint location where you want to install it. So you can specify by default, it selects, if you're on Windows, it selects program files, DMC software, Smart IT, MyIT. That is the default location. You can change it. It will also ask you to input the JRE location. It will try to detect by itself. If not, You'll have to specify the exact location for the JRE, and then move on to the next screen. So this is another important screen where it is asking you to, it is giving you two options to install. One is in a new cluster or an existing cluster. It is asking you whether you want to install MyIT in a new cluster or an existing cluster. A cluster is similar to a server group in AR. So here, the first server that you select or where you install MyIT is always going to be the new cluster. So if you're installing it for the first time, you all make sure you always select the option in a new cluster. And this is going to do a few things. This installer is going to deploy the MyIT application footprints, which is a MyIT server, and then if you're using the bundle Tomcat, it's going to deploy that. The social engine, the Mongo database, if you're using the bundle Mongo, and other than these, it is going to create the schema on the database, and then it is going to build the integration between Remedy and MyIT server. It's going to do all these things when you select the install in a new cluster. You must select this option if this is the first server where you're installing MyIT, because this is where it is deploying the Mongo and the database schema, all those things. If you are selecting the second option, which you will if you are installing this on the second and the next servers, wherein it will only deploy the MyIT server, the Tomcat, if you're using the bundle Tomcat, and the social node. That's it. It's not going to deploy the Mongo. It's not going to create the database schema for to store the config and transactional data, all that. So this is on the second and the next servers, which are part of the cluster or the server group, you will select the second option in an existing cluster. For the first server, you will select the first option in a new cluster. Moving on, the next step, which you will see only for the if you're installing this for the first time, you will be asked to enter the database information to create the database schema. So we support Oracle and SQL Server for the database. So I have in this screen I've selected Microsoft SQL as my database schema. You will see a bunch of options here. It's asking you to input the host name to connect to the database, and then the port to connect, and the database name. So on SQL Server, it creates a database. The default database name is SmartIT. You can create this database using the installer, or you can pre-create it in some organization. So in order to create it through installer, you need to have a admin user credential to be entered in the installer in the screen. In some organizations where you have a separate database team, I would say most of the organization has that. So in that case, you won't be getting the admin credentials to connect to the database from them. So in that case, you can pre-create this based on our requirement guide. You can create the database, you can create the users, and then specify those information here. So we have that option as well available here. So you can see here, use pre-created DB. If you already created that, you can mention that information here. Or you can create it through the installer. So when you create it through the installer, it is going to ask you this information, again, host, port, and the database name. Then it will ask you to enter the admin user credentials, and then the SmartIT business SmartIT system. This is mainly the business is the transactional data, and the system is the config data. So it'll ask you to create those users. These are the default users, SmartIT business, SmartIT system that we use, but it can be anything. You can change the name as well. It is, if you're using a pre-created DB, right? You can have your own database name, username, etc. You can also see two other options here, use SSL and use always on. So if your database is running on with the SSL enabled, then you can enable the SSL from here. So basically, all the communication between the installer and the database will be encrypted. So for this to work, your database should be SSL enabled. So SQL Server allows you to do that. If you have that in place, you can select this option. The second one is SQL Server always on capability, where it gives you availability all the time. So during installation, if the primary server goes down, right, on the SQL Server side, the secondary will take over. So in those cases, there will not be any disruption if you have the always on capability enabled on the SQL Server side, and if you want to use that for this installation, you can enable the always on from here. And for Oracle, the parameters are similar, except that you will not see options like SSL or always on, because those are purely SQL Server capabilities. So that's about the screen. Moving on to the next one, where it will ask you the AR server information to connect to the AR server, host name, port, and the application service password to connect to the AR server. You'll also see a small checkbox here with the description. What this means is technically you can install MyIT without the ITSM server. So we have this MyIT digital workplace offering, like the location, service, health, broadcast, appointment. So all these features, it does not really rely on Remedy to work. So if you are not an a Remedy shop, you wanted to make use of the digital workplace capabilities that are in the product, then you can install MyIT without the AR or without integrating with the ITSM server. So in that case, you can select that option. That option will also work if you have HRCM and if your main integration is only HRCM. Say you're installing MyIT just for HRCM use case. And the HRCM is running on a standalone system, not on the ITSM server, then you can use this option to install MyIT just to integrate with HRCM, and at the same time, if you want to make use of the digital workplace capabilities, you can do so. So select that option only if that is your use case. But if your primary use case is the self-service aspect of MyIT, then you don't want to select that option. You will enter the AR server information here in the screen. The next one is the Tomcat configuration. As I said, we have the bundle Tomcat. So if you are using that, you can select the install Tomcat server, or if you are using your own existing Tomcat in your environment, you can select that and then specify the information where the path is and what the port is, etc. You can also enable SSL for the Tomcat from the installer. So in order to do that, once you select this option, you will be asked to enter the key store certificate information. So you'll have to mention that so that the installer can configure Tomcat with SSL automatically. You don't have to do it manually if you do it through the installer. But for that to happen, you need to make sure that you have all these requirements and the prereqs in place, like the key store certificate, all that. We don't bundle those along with the installer. Moving on to the next screen, where this is the Mongo configuration. Again, similar to Tomcat, you have the ability to choose whether you want the bundle Mongo, or if you already have Mongo installed in your environment, you can select the existing Mongo. If you use the bundle Mongo, the default port is 27017, and then it'll ask you what is the database name that you want to create for the social. By default, the database name is social, and the path where you want to deploy it. And by default, Mongo, there is no authentication. It is anonymous. If you want to set some authentication for Mongo, you can do so as well using the checkbox, MongoDB authentication. The next one, this is not a requirement for MyIT, but I just put it because this is part of the installer screen. So this is mainly for Smart IT. Smart IT has an integration with the OpenFire for the chat capability. So if you're installing MyIT and Smart IT together, and if you want to integrate with the chat server, um, you will have to mention those information here. You can use install a chat server which is bundled with the product, or you can use an existing chat OpenFire server which is available in your environment. So you'll have to mention that here. But if you're only installing MyIT, make sure that you enable this option to not include the Smart IT chat feature. You don't need that. And whenever you're ready for Smart IT, at that time you can enable it outside the installer. So that's pretty much about the installation steps. Then once you complete all the steps, it will give you the preview, what are the components it's going to install, the ports going to be used, etc. And then it starts the installation. Once the installation is complete, again, it will show the completion screen, success or failure, and then you have the access to the log from the installer where you can review the log, look for errors or warning messages. If there is nothing, you're good to go. So now that you install the product, when there is a revision that comes out, and we do, releases like every 3-4 months, with enhancements and defect fixes, etc. So when there is a new revision available, it's pretty simple to update the MyIT server with the revision or upgrade to the new version. It's not like how you install or upgrade the AR stack, right? This is, since the MyIT and Smart IT is running on its own server, the installation and upgrades are pretty easy to do. So usually the installation takes, again, if you are doing a fresh installation, it takes about another 20 minutes to do. Even for the upgrade, it takes about 20 minutes to complete the upgrade. So now if there is a revision, how do you upgrade your environment? The steps are similar to the installation, where you have the UX patch and the MyIT installer. So you'll take that, run it. It detects if you already have the MyIT server installed. If yes, it will take you to the upgrade mode. And for the upgrade to work, we support the current version which is available in the market is 3.2, and we support one-step upgrade from 2.6 all the way to 3.2. So if you are on 2.6, you can do upgrade in one step. Just run the 3.2 installer. It will take you from 2.6 to 3.2. If you are on a version below 2.6, which we do not have any customers on at the moment, so then you'll have to do the upgrade as 2 steps. Basically, you have to, let's say you're on 2.5, you have to run the installer twice. You have to upgrade from 2.5 to 2.6 using the 2.6 installer, and then use the 3.2 installer to upgrade from 2.6 to 3.2. So we recommend you keep up with the version, since the upgrades are also easy to do. It's more like deploying the patch rather than a full version upgrade. So let's go through the upgrade steps here. Again, running the installer, you will see the first screen, welcome screen, where it will ask you, it will tell you it's going to do the install or upgrade of the product. At this moment, it has not detected what is there in your environment. Once it detects, then it will do accordingly. It will decide whether to do an install or upgrade. The license agreement, you agree to the license agreement and then continue. You have seen the screen already. This is, it will ask you to specify the path where MyIT server is, the installation location and the JRE path. Then it will give you this screen with a warning that for upgrade it is important to take the backups before you do the upgrade, because there is no rollback capability in the installer. So we'll have to do that manually, and I'll talk about that in few minutes, about the failures and how you recover from the failures. So this is just a warning message. You can, if you have already taken the backup, you can click next and then continue. Um, Again, similar to the installation where you do the installation in a cluster or an existing cluster, a new cluster or an existing cluster, this will ask you upgrade MyIT server and the cluster. So when you select this option, it's going to upgrade your footprint plus your database as well, the MyIT database. If you select the second option, it is only going to upgrade the footprint on the MyIT application server. So for the first server, again, you will select the first option, first server in the cluster or server group, and then it starts the installation. It checks everything, and then it starts the installation. It gives the preview before the installation or the upgrade, that it is going to upgrade MyIT and SmartIT to the latest version, whatever the installer version is on. And then once the upgrade is completed, again, you will see a success message or warning or error based on the upgrade state. And then you will review the logs and find out if there is any warning or error messages. If it is successful, there will not be any warning or error message in the installer, so in the logs. So you can continue. Everything is great. Everything is upgraded. You're good to go. So the next one is, what if you run into an issue during your upgrade? How do you recover from that? So this is the troubleshooting steps that I wanted to add, have as part of this presentation, because we have seen issues during upgrade when there is a failure and users or customers do not know how to really recover from it, and then runs into many issues. So this should definitely help you in terms of planning the upgrade or knowing how the upgrade runs, works behind the scenes. So in 3.2, what we did is, or I think I should take a step back and talk about before 3.2. When you upgrade MyIT, it does everything, like it upgrades your application server, your Tomcat, MyIT server, and then their database, social. It does, it upgrades all these components, right? And if there is a failure, what happens is it just fails, and then it does not know how to recover from that failure. Fine. And so what you have to do is, when you run into an upgrade problem, you look at the log, and then you find the problem. Maybe it is in the database, maybe it is on the application server, on the AR, wherever it is, whatever component where you see the error. What you do is you find that error, and then you restore the environment to a previous working state. Let's say you're doing an upgrade from 2.6 to 3.2, and then the upgrade 3.1, and then the upgrade failed. You will restore to 2.6, and then you fix that particular problem, whatever the problem is. Let's say there is a database problem where it is expecting a constraint which is missing. So you will add that constraint, for example, and then you will rerun the upgrade, which is a painful process, because every time the first thing is you don't know if there will be a failure. In case if there is a failure, you'll have to restore the whole environment back to a best known working state, and then fix the problem and rerun the upgrade. But from 3.2, what we did is we actually modularized the upgrade, where we are doing the upgrade in stages. And the advantage of this is, if there is a failure, right, all you have to do is revert to that best known state of the failure, and then rerun the upgrade. So for example, as you can see here, the upgrade is in 3.2, the upgrade is run in stages. First it does the file system updates, and then it does the database update, the provider updates, ER system update, which is basically importing the metadata for the AR integration, and then Tomcat upgrade or configuration. Now, in any of this stage, if the upgrade fails, let's say the upgrade fails during the database update, then all you have to do is you don't have to restore the whole environment. You just have to find the problem in the, based on whatever the log says, and then fix that problem in the database, and then just restore the database to a known working state, right? And then rerun the upgrade. So the good thing is, then when you rerun the upgrade, the installer is continue from where it left off, which is the database upgrade. That was a failure. So it is going to start from there rather than starting from the file system upgrade. So that is the good thing about doing upgrade in stages, where it's easy to recover from failures and then rerun the upgrade. So these are the different stages of upgrade that you need to keep in mind, and then look at the logs. If there is an upgrade failure, where exactly it is failing, and then fix the problem, restore the database or the provider wherever the failure is, fix the problem, and then rerun the upgrade. So this completes the installation and upgrade of MyIT. Now once you install or upgrade the environment, the product is deployed, it's accessible, everything is fine. But it is not really ready to roll it out to end users, because before you roll it out, you may want to personalize your application. You may want to change the application name or logo or the color based on your company branding, things like that. So how do you do that? So the next topic where I'm going to talk about how you personalize the application, the web app and the mobile app. So I'll start with the web application, how you personalize the web app. So we use the CSS technology, the cascading style sheet to rebrand the application. So it's pretty easy to do. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to really know much about the CSS or the classes. All you have to know is how to get there. So how do you get there? It's easy. If you launch the application on the web browser, and if you right click, you will see an option called Inspect Element, which will take you to the developer console, the one that you see here at the bottom, and then it will list the classes. All you have to do is make the changes to those classes and copy those classes, put it in a file. We have the file available on the MyIT server. It's called myitstyle.css, and more details are available in the documentation how you do it. So let's say you want to change the color of this panel, right? So what you'll do is you will point your mouse here and then you right click and then say inspect element. It'll take you to this, the styles here. You select the style, which is the class name here is layout width, and then whatever you want to change, right? You want to change the layout, you want to change the background color of the layout. You just select that and then change it, change the color, or change the text, background images, put a new image, upload a new image onto the server on this location where we store the rebranding file. So it's easy to personalize it using this. And the good thing is, before you do this or before you apply these changes onto the server, you can see that in action from the UI, from the web UI itself, where you right click and make these changes. You will know how exactly it will look like once you may apply the changes on the server. So this is an easy way to build the rebranding or personalize your application, the web UI. We are also working on enhancing this at the moment to sort of automate it, providing a UI-based framework for personalizing the applications. We are not there yet. Something we are pursuing at the moment. It'll definitely come in one of the future versions. So that's how you personalize the application, the web UI. Now the next thing is, how do you personalize the mobile native applications? So let me start with the iOS. So for iOS, we have documentation available to personalize the application similar to the web UI. You can change the color, you can change the icons, you can change the application name, um, enable, disable certain things. You can hard code the server name, port, all that using the iOS rebranding capability that we have documented. Basically, the way you do that is you take the application, the IPA file, and then explode it and then make changes. But in order to do that, you need to have a Mac machine. Um, so you have to do this from a Mac OS server, and then there is, as part of the moment you explode the app, it will not work until you re-sign the application. So which is more like a requirement from Apple rather than BMC, which is there for any application, not just BMC native app. So if you take any third-party app and try to modify it, the first requirement is to re-sign that application. So in order to re-sign the application, you'll have to have an account with Apple, enroll into the Apple Developer Program for Enterprise, and then get the certificate and then the provisioning profile. Use that to re-sign your application, so that make it more like your own application that you personalized, right? So that's one option that you have. The other option you have is, engage with the BMC services. They do this as a paid service where they can help you with, the BMC services can help you with rebranding your application based on your requirement. So that's for iOS. And for Android, we don't have any capability for customers to rebrand the application by themselves at the moment. We are looking at options, which hopefully will be available in the future releases. So at the moment, what we have is, we do have the rebranding capability, but customers cannot do it by themselves. So you can engage with the BMC services, and they can help you do this as a paid service, where they can help you to rebrand the application, changing icons, application name, color, whatever you want, right? So all that is possible for Android, but you cannot do it by yourself. The main reason is, or the challenge is, the moment you explode the app and then for Android and then rebrand it, it requires the recompilation of the code to rebuild the application. And since we don't share the code with the customers for the app, it's not something you can do at the moment. So that is the main reason. So, but the capability is available. All you have to do is engage with the VMC services, and they can help you out with rebranding the Android application. So once you personalize the application, the next step is how you roll out the application to your enterprise. So I'll start with the web app deployment, which is very easy. You have to expose the URL. It can be a load balancer URL. If you're exposing it over the internet, you will have a common application name. Whatever you use it, myit.yourcompanyname.com. It takes you directly to the MyIT app, right? Which is all the standard procedure how you make the web app available. For the mobile app rollout, we recommend mainly three options. We have the enterprise app store. So if you have mobility in your enterprise, most likely you will have an internal enterprise app store where you can download the internal apps. Like in BMC, we have an internal app store where we can go and download the BMC specific application. MyIT is one of them that BMC IT uses. The VPN tunnel, BMC IT has other applications, for travel, um, and many other use cases, right? Skype, for business, the communicator, the chat application. So BMC IT supports multiple applications on mobile. So they have a enterprise app store, which is only available for BMC employees. Um, so you can go to the enterprise app store if you have one, where you can host MyIT application, and then you can ask your users to download from there. That's one option. The other option is using MDM. Use any mobile device management tools uh, to roll out the application. So the good thing about using MDM is you have full control over rolling out. You can remotely deploy the application to mobile devices, users' devices, and then you can automatically update when there is an update available. When an employee leaves the company, you can wipe out this data. You can remotely, uninstall this application from employee's device, etc. So you have more control using an MDM solution. With respect to which MDM solution to use, um, there is, you can use any MDM solution which is available in the market, like AirWatch, or MobileLine, IBM, Microsoft, Good Technology, anything, because our application is a standard IPA or APK file, which we built based on and we follow all the standards that are recommended by Google and Apple. So it's a standard application. As long as the MDM tool can deploy a standard IPA or APK, we are good. So you can use any MDM tool that is available in the market. We don't say that you use this tool or that tool, because as I said, it's a standard IPA APK application. As long as the MDM tool supports that, which it should, because that's a basic feature of every MDM. So you should be able to deploy using MDM. The third is, if you don't have these two available in your enterprise, then you can use the URL method, which customers, especially small customers who do not have MDM or enterprise app store, uses this, where you can host MyIT on a download URL. We provide a download URL out of the box. You can use that, or you can host it anywhere. It does not have to be on the MyIT server. It's just a download URL. You can host it anywhere on any web server. So, and then you can ask your users to download the application from there. The disadvantage is you don't have control. You don't know how many people have downloaded the application, how many of them, or what version they are on. If there is an update, how will you notify? So you don't have all those if you use the URL-based approach. But yeah, we do see users using it, especially in dev and QA environment, to test the application. So these are the three options that we have. We also have the application available on the App Store and the Play Store, but it is not really for production usage. The reason is that what we do is we always update the application to the latest version. Like 3.2, version 3.2 is the one which is available on App Store and Play Store. Unfortunately, it cannot coexist with a backend which is lower than 3.2. So that's one reason. The other reason is the app which is available on Play Store or App Store is tied to a demo server, so that if somebody wants to see MyIT in action on the mobile device, they can see. So it always tries to connect to that demo server. So because of this, it's not recommended to use the Play Store and App Store application for your production. We recommend and the other thing is it cannot be rebranded. If you want to do rebranding, you cannot do so using that. So because of all these, we don't recommend you using that for production. You can use that just to play around with the product. If you have not installed MyIT in your enterprise, but you still want to see the features of MyIT, yeah, there is a demo server which it connects to, so you can play around with it. So that's how you deploy the application. Now, once you deploy the application, everything is good. Users are using the product, and how do you monitor the application from the backend? How do you make sure that the system is available, the service is available all the time? We have so you'll have to have some health monitoring tools in place. So we have APIs available in MyIT to monitor different components of MyIT. Let's say based on the architecture that I showed you, the MyIT server, social, Mongo, these interaction, we have APIs available to check whether the interaction between each component is working fine or not. So how do you check that? We have a utility which we built. It is available as part of 3.2 by default. When you install the product and you go to this particular if you launch this context, UX, health check, excuse me, you will see it will launch the health check monitoring application, and then you can see it is monitoring different components of MyIT, the AR server. It checks whether the connection between MyIT and AR server is intact. The chat server, if you have chat integration, database, it checks whether you can read data from database, write data into database. The social connectivity between MyIT and the social server, Mongo connectivity between social and Mongo. If you have AppZone, the enterprise app store that we talked about, if you have that integration in place, it checks if MyIT can connect to AppZone. If you have CLM, it checks if MyIT can connect to the CLM, Cloud Lifecycle Management product. If you have HRCM, it checks if MyIT can connect to the HRCM. If you have service broker integration, it checks if MyIT can connect to the service broker server. So this health check utility will give you an overall idea. Let's say you get you have a health check monitoring in place in your environment, and then you get an automatic alert that says that the server is down, or let's say somebody is complaining that I'm not able to access MyIT. The first thing you can do is launch this health check utility, and then check if all the components are up and running. If there is a failure, let's say social is down, it will tell you here. Then okay, what exactly to look for. You just have to log into the MyIT server and then restart the social, right? Which is the easiest way to get the service up. And then once it is back restored, once you restore the service, you can go back and analyze the log and see what went wrong, what caused the outage and things like that. To access this utility, you need to be a MyIT admin user, so you have to log in as a MyIT admin user. This is not available for every end user. So this is one utility that you can use to monitor the health of the system. The other utility that we have is the monitor HTML app, which is this is again similar to the health check utility, but here it is configurable, because in MyIT we have a bunch of APIs that we expose to check the connectivity. So you can put that API information here, the REST API URLs here, and then start monitoring. So let's say you think that, okay, there is some problem with a particular component. You can use the API and then add that API information here and then say start monitoring. It's going to do that. So especially if you have an integration with any monitoring utilities, for example, the BMC through site monitoring or any other monitoring application, right? You can use this app, the HTML app, and then invoke it from there, and then add some REST API URLs here, and then monitor the application. So these are the options that are available to monitor the application. Other than this, as I said, you can use the REST API to monitor the application outside this. just invoke it from a third-party monitoring tool and then monitor the application. So those are the methods or the options that we have to monitor the application. I think that pretty much completes the presentation. And here are some references that I have used to prepare this presentation. We'll surely share this information with you after the presentation. Okay, in summary, what we have seen so far. So we have gone through the architecture of MyIT, where we talked about different components of MyIT, the ports that we use, the prerequisites, and then we also talked about how it is integrated with the external data sources, mainly the Remedy for self-service, what are the providers that we have, how the provider is integrated with the MyIT server. So we primarily focused on the self-service aspect, then the digital workplace aspect, where how we integrated with let's say BPPM for digital workplace, for example. So we talked about that as part of the architecture slide. Then we dived into the installation topic, where we talked about how you install the product. There are two different installers to install MyIT. One is the user experience patch that you will install it on the AR server, which will mainly deploy the workflows to integrate MyIT with AR, and then the social event manager plugin, which is used by the MyIT and Smart IT to push data into MyIT. We talked about how you install MyIT on the MyIT server, different components, the Tomcat, Mongo, Node, all that stuff. We also touched upon the upgrade, different upgrade of versions that we support for upgrade. What are the things that you need to be aware of when you do the upgrade, and when there is a failure during the upgrade, how you recover from that failure. So we talked about different stages of upgrade and how you can recover from the upgrade failures. Once you install, upgrade the application, the next thing is personalizing the app. So we talked about different options available to rebrand the application for universal client, iOS and Android. Then we talked about how you deploy the application for web and the mobile app. For mobile app, it is either using the enterprise app store or the mobile device management technologies or the URLs. So once you roll out the application, the next is monitoring the app. We talked about the monitoring utilities, the health check utilities that we have in the product, mainly the health check app and the monitor HTML app. And then the REST APIs, which comes with it. There are other REST APIs as well that you can use to monitor the applications. And then I also shared the references that I used to prepare this presentation. That pretty much completes our presentation for today. I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Sirjad. And at this time, we have some questions that we have. Steve, could you go ahead and ask Sirjad the questions we have queued up?
Absolutely. First question is, does UX patch need to be installed on all servers in the server group?
Good question. Yes. The answer is yes if you are using a load balancer to connect from MyIT to AR server. If not, if you are pointing to a specific server for the integration, then you don't have to install UX patch on all the servers. In general, we recommend installing it on all the servers, because that way you can use a load balancer URL to connect from MyIT to AR server. So if one of the AR server goes down for whatever reason, right, it can still, the MyIT is still up and running, it can talk to another AR server within the server group.
Thank you. The next question is AppZone replaced with another product?
Good question. AppZone is The answer is yes, it is getting replaced with another product. So we have the new product which we launched recently, the service broker, but AppZone is not completely replaced with service broker, because service broker has got many new functionalities which are not there in AppZone. So I think the way AppZone will get replaced is uh, there will be, like how we have the self-service uh, for MyIT and the digital workplace, right? We have two offerings for MyIT. So similar to that, I think Service Broker will have uh, a flavor, if you will, which will have all the AppZone related capabilities.
Great, thank you. The next question is, are there any plans to make MyIT more of a true cluster or persistency, where if you bring down one server, connections are successfully transitioned to the other server without data loss?
Good question. Yes. So we have, I think as part of 3.1, we have the session clustering capability, which is available in the product, which we added. So basically what it does is, if you are in a true cluster, let's say you have 3 nodes for MyIT, and then one of the node goes down, it can actually transfer the session from that node to an active node. So that capability is already available in the product, starting from 3.1, I believe, yes.
Great, thank you. All right, the next question is, a customer is using Java 8 release 111, and it gives an error saying that it's too old of a version. So is there a problem using 3-digit Java release?
Not that I'm aware of. I think we'll have to look at it and see why it is giving that error.
Are there any prerequisites for provider if you want to have a provider which is not a BMC application?
So out of the box, there is no integration with other, outside BMC apps, but it is possible technically. So the way I've seen it works is, you talk to the BMC account team and then reach out to the services, and then build the provider as a services engagement, where they'll tell you what are the prereqs, how we can build the provider, and they can help you do that. But we don't build providers for outside BMC application.
Great, thank you.
Like for example, if you want to integrate with an external knowledge management application, right? We can build a provider to interact with a third-party knowledge management application. But you'll have to engage with the services and then find out more about it, how they can work with you, and then help build the provider.
Great, thanks. Are MyIT and MyIT Service Broker the same?
It's not the same. So MyIT is, excuse me. So MyIT, as I said, MyIT has 2 offerings. One is the self-service offering, which it can integrate with the Remedy service catalog, the SRM approval, and the RKM, Remedy Knowledge Management module. The other part is the digital workplace, which is where it can integrate with location. It has features like location, service health, broadcast, appointment, so those things. Service Broker is a new product in this MyIT family. It's more like a brokering product where you can build connectors. We have a lot of connectors available out of the box in Service Broker. One of the connectors is SRM connector, Remedy SRM connector, where it can pull SRDs from Remedy into Service Broker, and then you can manage and maintain those SRDs in Service Broker. So there are other connectors available like the box connector, Dropbox, Flexera. So there are so many connectors out there that we are building. So basically you can pull catalogs from different data sources and consolidate everything into Service Broker and use MyIT as the single application or the portal for all these catalogs. From an end user perspective, they don't have to go to multiple different applications to, to get a request done, right? If you want to, let's say, it's basically addressing the catalog sprawl use case, which is every enterprise we have, you will have multiple portals or applications for self-services. If you want to contact IT for some IT requests, you go to either MyIT or SRM or some other self-service tool you use. Let's say you wanted to order a laptop or a mobile device, you go to a different catalog or a different portal. Say you wanted to order a machine, a VM, virtual machine, or host a machine on the cloud, you go to a different portal. So what Service Broker is addressing is that catalog sprawl use case, where you can consolidate all the catalog into one place and then build profiles for each services within the catalog, and then use MyIT as a single portal for all these catalogs. From an end user perspective, you just go to MyIT as one-stop, single, one-stop solution for all the self-service catalogs, service catalog use cases. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it definitely does. Thank you. Just a quick comment before I go to the next question. This is regarding the customer who actually asked the Java version question. If you could log a support case with us, that would be great. That way we could investigate the error, do our analysis, and hopefully get a resolution to it. So if you can just open up a support case, that would be great. Thank you. Our next question is, can release management be used with MyIT?
Release management, no. There is no integration with release management at the moment.
Okay. Next question is regarding licensing. How about licensing? Does MyIT and SmartIT require separate licenses, or will it work with an AR system license?
It requires, from an application usage perspective, or is this question from an application usage perspective or from requiring the license perspective?
It doesn't state, but maybe take both approaches.
Okay, so if you, it does require, MyIT requires license, separate license. If you do not have, I think there is a way, I don't know the details about how you convert it, but if you are an existing SRM customer, I think there is a way to convert or move from SRM to MyIT. If you're not, then there is a different way. So I would suggest, I think there are like too many options there. I would say, reach out to your account representative. They can certainly help you with the best possible options.
Great, thank you. Okay, are there any best practices / documentation available, or is it even recommended if we wanted to edit the Minfield.js to make some customizations / add classes that cannot be done using CSS?
No, at the moment, out of the box, we don't support modifying the minified version of the JavaScript files, because the reason is that when you deploy a hotfix or a patch, and we do that quite often, all that customization will be lost. We cannot retain those, so that's one of the reasons we don't recommend making those changes. What we do, that's why we have the CSS capability, where you can do most of the things like the rebranding, changing icons, names, and things like that. But if you want to do something beyond that, I would say, let us know your requirement, and then work with the product team, the product management team, get it prioritized, and make it as a requirement that we can deliver, so that it can be used by every customer, rather than it's a one-off customization. Because if it is something like, we do hear use cases like, adding a new menu, for example, which is something we are looking at to solve, how we can add that capability into the product itself. We don't have it yet, but if you're looking for something like that, I would say put that as an idea. I'm sure there is one already on the communities. So vote for it. Ask your friends, other customers to vote for it if they have that requirement. And we'll build that into the product as a feature.
Great, thank you. And this brings us to our final question. Is MyIT is supported on which operating systems?
Okay, good question. So we support installing MyIT on Windows and Linux. Those are the two platforms that we support. And I think those details are available in the compatibility metrics and the documentation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, since we're out of time for today's webinar, we will go ahead and, let's see, move this. Here's a slide, and this is how you can contact BMC, whether it's through the communities, Facebook, Google, or Twitter, and also our technical support contact information. As always, thank you for your attendance and participation. Today's recording, along with the Q&A, will be posted to the communities within 1 week. Any questions not answered will be addressed in the posted Q&A.